What is up, guys? Python here, back with another video, and I am extremely tired. I woke up early, been on the grind as I only got 4 hours of sleep today. Did an early stream. Thank you to everyone who came out to that, by the way. And I just need to get this video up so I could just already shower and then just go to bed for a bit, and then probably be up all night again. But that is besides the point. But we're going to be talking about what the New York Rangers did today in free agency. So let's go ahead and just dive into that right away here, because why the hell not? Before we dive into it, though, actually, be sure to leave a like on the video if you do enjoy. Subscribe if you guys are new. Turn on your notifications as well so you know when I upload. So yeah, let's get into it. So let's address the big elephant in the room. The New York Rangers signed Vinny Trocheck for 7 years at $5.6 million per year. I had to double check if it was 5.5. No, but 5.6 million per year to be the second line center. And in my opinion, this is just a great signing. And I know that people are skeptical about Vinny Trocheck himself. They're skeptical about the term and all that. To me, the term does scare me a little bit. I won't lie on that front. Hopefully there's not a no trade clause or a no movement clause like the Rangers have been notorious for handing out lately. But I really like this deal when it comes to the money standpoint. And look, I understand that the 7 years isn't good at all. It's not. Let's not sugarcoat it. He is 29 years old, and to have him here for 7 years, it's just not the best case scenario. But the Rangers are in a cap crunch, and the best way to fit him into the cap, and the only way really, was to stretch out the AAV, or to stretch out the term so he could get less AAV per year. That was the only way this was going to work. Otherwise, if you gave him a 4-year deal, maybe he would have got upwards of 6.5 million, maybe even 7. So I think the Rangers played their cards right. And then you saw them interested in Nazem Kadri for the second line center role. And in my opinion, they did the right thing. They went out, they got their guy. And Nazem Kadri, I think, was number one on their list. Let's not pretend that Vinny Trocheck was number one on the list. I think Nazem Kadri was. But the Rangers wanted to play smart because Nazem Kadri, as of today at least, he has not signed, at least by the time I'm recording this. And it doesn't seem like he's going to sign for a couple days even, maybe. So I really think that the Rangers didn't want to wait out for Nazem Kadri. God forbid Vinny Trocheck goes off the market. Then you're in a scramble trying to either trade for a guy, or you're going to sign a Paul Stastny or a third line type guy that you didn't want to end up with, and it wouldn't have been all much of an upgrade. And Vinny Trocheck is no slouch. People are really sleeping on how good Vinny Trocheck has been, and people like to look at the point numbers. They like to look at the point numbers for him, but to that I say that you guys need to look more in depth into the numbers with Vinny Trocheck. With the style that he plays, you guys saw it last year in the playoffs. You guys saw it. He was a hard-nosed player, and every time he was on the ice, Carolina just had possession of the puck, and they were able to create the cycle and get going. He is just so strong on the puck. He's able to set up plays. He could get in front of the net for Panarin and create more space for him. He's exactly like Pierre-Luc Dubois in a way, except older, and also he was on the open market, so you didn't have to give up assets. And the biggest difference for me that wins me over with Trocheck is him in the faceoff dot. In the faceoff dot, he has not been under 50% since 2015, 2016. And in that year, even, he was 49% in the faceoff dot. He is so good. He hasn't been a top Selke finalist, but he's been in the top 50 twice. So that just shows that he has a bit of defensive value. He might slot in on the penalty kill a bit, especially if the Rangers do lose Tyler Mott, which it's looking likely that they will, which we'll discuss later. But he wins faceoffs. He could go on your penalty kill. And again, another thing that I pointed out in my stream, his Corsi for percentage. And if you don't know what Corsi is, this just pretty much is the percentage of time that your team possesses the puck while that player is out on the ice. So if it's above 50%, good. Below 50%, not so good. And Trocheck, he has not had his Corsi below 50% once in his career, with one outlier in 2017, 2018, and in that season, 49%. He is so good. And again, doesn't put up the points, but you're going to figure that that's going to go up naturally playing with a guy like Artemi Panarin, like we saw with Andrew Kopp, like we saw with Ryan Strome. And he plays a lot tougher and a lot better of a game than both of those guys, in my opinion. And again, the faceoff thing really wins me over with Vinny Trocheck. I'm a huge fan of the signing, and I think that It's going to be rough maybe towards the end of the contract. Although if the salary cap goes up, then you're not going to worry as much. But for right now and for next year, which is what my main concern is 1 year at a time here. So Vinny Trocheck is certainly an upgrade at the number 2 center spot, and I am excited to see him here. He could slot in on power play too. Also, you could have him be the net front presence on that second unit while Kreider is on the top unit. And this opens up an opportunity for one of Lafreniere or Kakko to go on that top power play unit with Strome out of the mix. So, huge fan of the signing. And then next, what the Rangers did, they went out and got their backup goalie. They ended up signing Yaroslav Halak for 1 year at $1.5 million. Yaroslav Halak, really solid backup goalie with Vancouver last year. He's known for being with the Islanders as a starter for a long time, and he was with Boston for a bit of time here and there. Last year, he had in 17 games played a .902 save percentage with a 2.94 goals against. And I know that that's not the sexiest thing in the world, but you have to understand that he played with a Vancouver team that struggled at the beginning of the year. And if you look at his numbers at the beginning of the year, I'm pretty sure he had his save percentage below 900 for the most part until Bruce Boudreau came into the mix, and obviously, naturally, that skyrocketed a bit because Bruce Boudreau had a better system than Travis Green, and he did that with Vancouver, like I said, and he did better than Georgiev did as the backup here, and you need to get a veteran guy, so I am a huge fan of this signing here. To only get him at $1.5 million, again, it's not the end of the world. And then they ended up, I guess we could segue here, they ended up signing a third-string goalie as well. And of all people, they signed Louis Domingue because, of course, they did. Yes, Mr. Spicy Pork and Broccoli himself is a New York Ranger now for 2 years at $700K. If I had to guess, this is a 2-year deal because, one, they want a guy to have replace Keith Kincaid, and 2, they want a guy that could come in and be the third string, and maybe if you need to, God forbid you're in a cap crunch next year, again, which you're expected to be with Lafreniere and Miller off the books, you have a guy that is signed for only about $700K now that could be a backup. Will he be great as a backup? Probably not, but you do have the option there, and you want one of your younger guys to come in. So maybe if one of the younger guys isn't ready, Louis Domingue could just come up through the system. So I think that's why it's a 2-year deal. Smart deal there. Really liked that signing. And, you know, how could he not like him after he tweeted asking about spicy pork places in New York? But in terms of other moves, we could just talk about the guys that the Rangers lost real quick. So the New York Rangers departures from today. You had Kevin Rooney, who went to the Calgary Flames on a 2-year deal at, I believe, $1.3 million per year. And to that, I say good riddance, because there was obviously no cap room, and I'd rather give some of these younger guys the ice time that Kevin Rooney was taking up. Then you had Frank Vatrano, who went to the Anaheim Ducks for 3 years at $3.6 million per. Again, good riddance. He had no place here with Kravtsov coming through the mix or coming through the system, and then Othman might come into the fold next year as well. There was just simply no room for Frank Vatrano, and if Gallant really meant what he said about Lafreniere as well as Kakko getting top 6 minutes, that's what you had to do. So I'm completely content with that. And then Andrew Kopp, who went for a very similar deal. He ended up signing for 5.2 in Detroit for 5 years. And the question then arose, why did the New York Rangers not take Andrew Kopp for less term and slightly less money over signing Vinny Trocheck? And to that, I say Trocheck is the far and away better player. I loved Andrew Kopp when he was here. He disappeared, though, after the Pittsburgh series. And not just that, he was mostly playing on the wing, so who knows if he was going to do well in that center role. And I just don't think that it made sense to keep Andrew Kopp when, again, you have better options out there on the market like Vinny Trocheck, and Kopp just hasn't put up that many points until this past season. But again, how much of that is Panarin? We don't know. I liked Andrew Kopp, like I said, when he was here, but I think that it was better to move on for the Rangers' sake and for his sake. And I know that he was pissed on the ESPN panel when he was interviewed, saying, like, yeah, the Rangers never made an offer, and that's going to fire me up a bit. So we'll see what that's about there. But again, I have no problem with that. Bit of a minor move. Keith Kincaid ended up going to the Boston Bruins. Again, I liked Keith Kincaid here. He was a good third string guy, but it was obvious that was going to happen. And then, of course, let's get to the big move of the day, if you will. the New York Rangers basically won the Stanley Cup. Am I right? They traded Patrick Nemeth to the Arizona Coyotes for 2 picks. One of them is a second-round pick. The other, in 2025, that is. The other is a 2024 third-round pick that is a conditional pick. And Arizona has the option to acquire the Rangers' third-round pick or a 2026 second-round pick, so they could decide there which draft pick they want. And in exchange, the Rangers actually got a human being in return, believe it or not. I thought they were just going to get nothing, but they did get a human being, that being Ty Emberson, a 6'1" right-handed defenseman who played with Keandre Miller actually in college. Thank you to Statboy Steven for tweeting that. Otherwise, I would not have had that knowledge. But I liked the move a lot. I don't know what Emberson really is about. I don't know if he's going to be anything special. Best case scenario, he's a 7th defenseman for you next year. Worst case scenario, he helps out the Wolfpack. To me, it does not matter. You saved, or you freed up $2.5 million in cap space that you desperately needed. And Patrick Nemeth, you won't be missed here. Sorry, it's true. And now you give more playing time to Zach Jones or Niels Lundqvist, which, thank God. And speaking of which, I just remembered Justin Braun as well went back to the Philadelphia Flyers. Philly, they're weird right now. I don't know what they're doing. And then Tyler Motte is the last domino that is probably the fall for the New York Rangers. Of course, he was acquired at the trade deadline, and it seemed like Drury said that the cap is going to be way too tight for them to sign him. And to that, I say, I'm not happy, because I really love Tyler Motte. I liked him a lot on the penalty kill. He was a great defensive type forward here. But yeah, again, you put yourself in a cap situation here with guys like Jacob Trouba, who I could rant about for hours, but you didn't have the cap space, and I love Tyler Motte, and it sucks to see him go, but we'll see what Will Coley does, because I'd have to assume that he might get a chance. You have, what's his name also, that the Rangers got earlier this offseason. I don't know why I'm forgetting his name. Why am I forgetting? Gustav Riedel, that's right. You have him that could potentially come into the mix. You have some options there. Johnny Brzezinski is a serviceable guy. Are these guys anything close to what Tyler Motte brings production-wise? No, I don't think so, but it's going to have to be the way it is, and the Rangers, I'm sure, by the deadline, will be looking to get a bottom 6 forward, and if you're looking to get more of that style players, I think that that's the easier problems to solve versus where last year you had to get a top 6 guy like Andrew Kopp. So again, I think that the Rangers are in a much better position, and they're a much better team today than they were yesterday. And I know that's kind of controversial given the fact that they lost guys like Kopp, Vetrano, and all that. I really do believe, though, that these were the right moves, and the Rangers still aren't done, because Kakko still needs to get re-signed. And for all we know, the Rangers still have another big trade up their sleeve. So who knows? But that is my, I guess you could say, quick little recap on the moves thus far, because I don't really expect myself talking about too much more outside of a Kakko extension. So I'll make that video once that happens. So yeah, that's going to do it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. If you did enjoy, leave a like, subscribe if you guys are new, especially for Ranger fans. Turn on your notifications, and I will see you in the next one. Let's go, Rangers. Welcome to New York, Vinny.